everyone. Got Coach Goo with me today, and we are going live. Um, so the thing went so well last time that we decided to do it together and try to do it once a week now.
Oh, once a week. Wow.
Yeah. Um, what I really wanted to talk about today was, like rackets and, kind of designing our own kind of favorite racket here. Uh, Surprisingly, can you hand me that racket, please? Sorry, thank you.
Behind the scenes over here.
Yeah. We're we're in the tennis office here behind the scenes. It's very surprising that Coach Gu and I can use this racket. So I learned a little bit about this particular racket in my last couple days from some peoples, and supposedly the racket isn't that different than V1, except that they moved the racket stiffness a little bit. This is the theory though. The old version of the V1, the version one of the whiteout was here, right? Therefore, when you hit it in the new natural sweet spot, which was high, it was very unstable. It was very kind of unwieldy, kind of floppy. But in the newer version, right, they kind of firmed it up over here. And therefore, when you strike the sweet spot, it plowed right through and firmed up and gave you the power you needed instead of being unwieldy. So, I mean, either way, you have lead underneath the head guard anyways, but you needed it more in that old version. This one enhances it even more with the lead underneath. Even more plow with extra power. I mean, you and I feel that there's extra power in this, but supposedly all they did was just alter the slight stiffness from here to here, and bingo, you got a winner on your hands.
hmm
Now, what do you think, Coach Goo?
I mean, they did a splendid job in updating the racket. I think, yeah, the stiffness part actually does make sense because we were tinkering around with version one and figuring out which one we liked, and even trying to manipulate that because you know how I like my rackets a little more bendy, a little more feel, especially with that nice little flex at the end. Like we were trying to manipulate that as much as we could in version one, but it was you can only get so close.
Yep.
You won't get that same feel, and I think that's the reason why version one, a lot of players didn't really gravitate towards two just yet because of that feel. I mean, it was a work in progress. I think it was a solid first version racket that most people were so shocked about, and Solenko did a really good job of producing it. So I mean, with that stiffness, and I thought the foam was going to destroy this racket, but I was completely wrong. I think it's the foam is actually necessary. I feel like in this version, and they did a great job tinkering the weight and the stiffness towards the head and moved it up a little more. So therefore, you actually got a much more natural flex. Like, and you said when you popped off the top of my head guard, you literally didn't see anything. I mean, we had to hunker around and pop off my old version and just play around and hope and pray that worked.
Exactly.
But this version is great. I think they did a really good job. The one thing I'm really excited to see is maybe a blackout version two. I think a blackout version two would be interesting to see because you were on the blackout on version one, and then you decided to say, "Hey, I'm gonna jump ship and go over to now whiteout version 2."
Yeah, because I couldn't believe I could actually hit this ball, hit this racket, and I was like, "Oh, there's enough power in here to get my forehand out of here." And then with the extra weight on the top, kind of almost like yours, maybe a little bit more lead than you, it was easy, totally easy to hit this racket.
Yeah.
So there is a version two of the blackout on the horizon, and it's I've been testing it out for a little while now, and I like it. I like it. I haven't loved it yet, but it's because I've kind of been hooked to this. Um, this is, it's good. I mean, I also like the white kind of camo look too, and let's see what the final thing looks at. Let's see what the final thing looks like in the blackout. But that is on the horizon. They do, they do, and they do have all the versions. They're actually not finished with the variations of this either, though. I mean, if you guys know who Mr. Kennedy is, Jack Kennedy, not the president, uh, uh, has a 28-inch version of this. I didn't think they were gonna make it, but that will also be coming because I actually physically held it in my hand, the 28, because I just got back from Kalamazoo and I strung some rackets over there, and I was like, because I looked at it, I was like, this isn't being made. Yeah, it's only Jack's right now. So, but it's on the horizon. I thought they canned that racket, but Jack 28. Um, it. Coach Goo, what is the best racket you've ever played with? Like, if you could, go back in time and replicate a type of racket and say, hey, this is what I want again.
Probably the K Factor blade. K Factor blade. And it would probably be a 90. I think they made 98. They made a 95, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There's two versions. There were two versions. I think three even, possibly.
Right.
I know it was the 98 was the most common one. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
That's what you like, huh?
That was actually one of my favorites because it had the flex it needed, but it also had that nice sweet spot in power.
Right.
Right. So like in the K Factor series, you had you had the Pro Staff, and then that was a great era for Wilson, I believe. Like K Factor of Pro Staff, K Factor of Blade. That's like probably the new second version, V2 of the Blade, and they did a really good job. And then I'm trying to think, what's the other one?
Remember you had Blade Pros for a little while.
Blade Pros for a while. That was a solid racket. But if I had to bring back a racket that I think did well was the K Factor Blade with the kind of the feel of it, like the flex feel, with the mold of version of the Blade Pro. What was it? Version 7, which is the H22.
Yep. Well,
So,
they're all
like,
H22s.
The H22s, but like if you had the flex of that 98 of the K Factor, that was actually one of my favorite rackets. I don't think, because I remember playing it once and I was already like, I want that racket instantly. That was like the only, like, how you have a racket that you really like you just hit with it and you're like, all right, this is the one.
Right.
Like you just know it, right? That's like the first time I ever felt a racket. I was like, okay, I want that racket. Like just hit a few balls, I want that racket.
Interesting.
I would say that was my favorite one.
So what's wrong with the current blades then?
I think the current blade I was with, let's try to see. I think the V, what was it? Which is counter, I think it's V6. I was playing with V5. That was like the last version when they had the head guard being lime green before they made to the countervail. I think that version kind of fell off. It was a decent racket if you were, have tennis elbow. I understood the reason why they made it. But it just didn't play the same way. It felt like a board. It didn't feel like everything, since it's countervail, everything was muted. And you just couldn't really, have that same flex feel. You didn't have that nice sweet spot that when you knew you hit it, it was clean. It just felt like a board. I think that was version 6. So version 7 came out, which was the chameleon colorway. I didn't mind that, but it just lacked that flex, right? It was played great. It had the sweet spot again. It just didn't play great. I think version 8 the current version now is better, but I think they're switching away from, I think they just lost their way with the blade. I think K Factor was a great one. Encode was all right. Um, when they had the Amphiel, which is version I believe 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
When I had the
4.
silver, it was basically Novak's last year before he switched away. That was probably the best series, and after that, I think the blade lost its way. After that version, it lost its way. V5 was like, it had the flex still, but it didn't have that nice pop that most people wanted. But since Countervail, I really haven't turned back. I think the best one I've used is, I think the best version was from K Factor, which is version 2. Like, that's when, like, Novak was playing on, like, the biggest stars. Novak, Serena, like, all those players were playing with that racket, and they did a great job with it. And then to version 5, which is the black and silver one.
Right.
I think that was, like, the best era of rackets for the blade. Because I'm a blade user. I was always a blade user. I just, in the juniors, I was with Bablock because I was sponsored, so I used the, not the pure Arrow now, it was back in the day.
Pro.
It was the Arrow Pro.
Right.
That's when Nadal was, making it his line out of it. So that's why. If I had to redo everything again, I would start off with the blade.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's, solid rackets, solid, design back in the day. I feel like those rackets play better than the current blades. They are trying to remodify things because the current version is supposed to be like a version 4.
It's kind of, it's reminiscence. You can see it, but it's not there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it's all right. It's almost. It's getting there.
It's getting there, but
it's getting there.
I think we had this conversation about is what happens with these companies. It's like for example, they have a great racket mold, and they're like, well, we can maybe switch it next year or the year after, and
Right.
what happens when they tinker a little too much, it's not the racket that people like anymore, right? I think right now we're in this era again where it's it's coming back. They're going back to their roots, and they're trying to make it to the players, right? To the actual players that are interested in playing in that. So I would say, like, they're getting back to where they're getting to, but I think since there's new rackets like Solenko, I think Prince is now coming back with some rackets that are pretty decent.
They should just come back with a Prince Graphite.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Like you've done for 4 times before.
I think another one would be I haven't heard Vocal in a while, but I heard Vocal is making some rackets again that aren't bad. I think they're going back to their roots again too. I think they lost their way. Dunlop is making some decent rackets too. I mean, there's a lot of resurgence, and it's going the positive way. It's not going the back way.
Yeah, that Gravity Tour I think is a winner.
I think definitely Head is finding which rackets work.
Yeah.
Even the Radical I was surprised with. Even the Radical was, kind of reminiscent of the Agassi racket, which is great. It's good to see that's going back again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Gravity is probably their best seller, I think, and probably contenders of the racket of the year. It's such a good racket.
That Tour is really good. That Tour is really good. I think the Speed MP is still their top seller overall.
It is, I think, because it's 1619. I think 300, and it's surprisingly 100 square inches, not a 98.
Not 98, guys.
It's still a 305, but it's 100 square inches. Still a great racket, I think. The speed itself, I was never really a big fan of the speed. I think it was just because when I tried the liquid, was it liquid metal, I believe, or liquid? I think it's liquid metal. Yeah,
that was like 15.
That was like the more like. That racket was pretty solid. I think they did a great job, but ever since then they've been struggling with the speed.
It's been feeling hollow after that. That's my sense.
I can see that. I think it's just Head is now with the Gravity. They did a great job. I think they're trending the right way right now. Yonex actually made a good E zone. I mean, that's closest to, if like what we talked about. It's closest to the DR. It's getting there. It's not there yet,
No,
but
no.
it won't. I think the DR is kind of like a prime example of Yonex peaks moment.
They're killing Rackets too early.
Yeah, I think they should just give it a year or two or more. I mean, I think Yonex is, they're innovative, right? They're trying to be the best. They're trying to like be the next,
Next greatest thing.
greatest
I get
thing,
it.
which I totally understand. I think they need to just give a little more time into the project they're updating, and
Maybe
spend
look in the past a little bit too.
yeah.
If everybody talks about DR and you're just plowing forward, sometimes that may not be the main.
Into that DR. I mean, it's getting there. I mean, they did take a listen to us and
I mean, we're
came out with
like
the 98.
4 generations past DR now, maybe
Yeah.
5, and
And the newest one is there is some features that kind of remind you of the DR. I mean that the DR is basically the only racket I can hit a forehand with. I guess that's all I can say about that. I think Yonex was never specialized in forehands. They got great backhands though, great backhand feel. But I think what's interesting is to see rackets, like how Yonex has its Regna
oh yeah,
C, and then that's their high end racket, and it's like what $500. What do you think about that trend? I think that's interesting to see because people are willing to pay that price for like $500 rackets, like the ultra, like you're supposed to play like a pro's racket. What do you think about that trend?
I mean, everybody gives me updates in Japan,
Yeah.
and tells me, "Oh, I found one, I found none," and lately it's been, "I found none,"
Mm-hmm.
and I know that the Windsor shops have put a posting that says no more for the rest of the year. They're literally sold out and they're not going to get any more. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
hearing that the newest version will be out, which I believe is version 4, coming out. It was supposed to be scheduled for Q1 of next year, so
Okay.
we're about 6 months away from that.
I think. What do you think about like companies doing that, like having those high end?
If you're gonna do that, you better make a good racket. Let's put it that way, because I mean, $400. I mean, regular rackets is getting close to $400 now
Yeah,
because you see
especially with the
E-zones. Yeah,
especially with the tariffs going on.
yeah, we're paying $307 or $8 right now for E-zones and heads right now.
Yeah, which is kind of ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, it's skyrocketed. Even like our normal, even your entry level rackets are getting up there, which is surprising to us, and it's like incredible.
I mean, I think if you make a great product, people will find it and buy it, because Regna 98s, people buy them up. People like literally travel to Japan to buy Regnas. So, and they don't sell them in America. I mean, they did like years ago. Like Tennis Warehouse had like, I don't know how many, but it went really fast. So there is a trend,
Yeah.
for and demand for something like that. I feel like Wilson kind of does that with
The
those
Pro Blades.
pros, yeah, the
Yeah.
Pro Blades, the Ultra Pros.
We tried the Ultra Pro and we loved it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like they do a good job with the Pro line, but it's not as spiked as like your Regna, of course.
Well, that's the other thing, is that as soon as that Ultra came out, that our Ultra came out, which is like the Steam 99
Yeah.
thing, replacement, whatever, remake, retake, reissuance. I've got immediately from people, it's like, look what Japan got. They got the Ultra Pro in the 1619, the 1820, the 95, the 18 by 16, or like there's just all these models of ultras that America does not get, that you literally have to travel to Europe or Japan to get. So why don't we get these good rackets?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, it's just how Wilson sees, and it's tough. I mean, I guess tennis of course in Europe is massive. I think it's the birthplace of tennis, right? So like Europe is it's tennis. It's European origin, and I think Japan, it's most sought after. I think there's more collectors
Hmm.
that are willing to go there and buy rackets there. I mean, we both know that in Japan rackets are a lot cheaper there.
No, they're actually not.
Oh, really? They're actually
They're
more
actually
expensive. Okay,
not.
even worse.
I mean, even with the stronger dollar over there,
It's still
it's
quite.
still expensive. I mean, I got a pretty good deal on that Regna. It was like 300 American dollars for a Regna. But
Okay,
I
that's
think people that's been going have been paying right around 3 to 350 per racket now. And that's because of the exchange rate. If the exchange rate wasn't good, you're looking at $500 and
yeah,
it
which
was
makes
like a
sense.
1-to-1 thing.
Yeah, I think it's just yeah, and I don't know why. I think people in Japan are willing to pay that price. I guess I'm not so sure. But hey, I don't make the decisions on that part.
Yeah. But I mean, I still, look back on kind of tennis history and my personal tennis history, and we always talk about like the brand Yamaha, and Yamaha it made great rackets. It's just unfortunate that they're no longer around because of some kind of a thing or thing with Wilson and a patent or something about wide bodies. So
Yeah,
they decided just to pull out altogether in tennis, which is a shame because if anybody has ever remember Yamaha, I only hear great things about those rackets. I mean, I'm one of those people who love it.
I was surprised
Uh,
about it too.
you ever have one?
You made me play with the one. Remember? I
That's
was
right.
I was actually surprised about it. I was really surprised about that racket.
All right, let's see what people have to say here. We'll get to you guys right now. We
Yeah.
just wanted to rant and rave first,
Yeah.
because that's
So
what
let's
we do.
see. Let's start with the first question.
Okay,
What
let's
we
go
got?
all the way back here.
So what do you think about the vocal brand? I think that's the number one.
Oh, I love Vocal actually. They're kind of a lost brand because you don't have a star using it really. I mean, back in the day, you had a couple people that you sponsored, but who plays with a vocal that anybody knows now?
It's
That's
pretty
the thing.
much it's hard. I mean, I think vocal, like I said, it's kind of the Prince incident where they had a few pros, and then lost a few pros, and then also they got too innovative. And like for example, Prince with their remember their dampener in the racket that was actually not a great racket, and they struggled ever since, and got bankrupt and now bought out again. Vocal is it's similar to Vocal. It's like they had a few pros, but the pros didn't stick that long. And then yeah, they were making great rackets. It's just no one could really they couldn't find anyone to stay with the brand,
Right.
right?
And
And it's just it's a niche market. Like let's be honest, tennis is a niche sport, and you can't find players that love the racket or want to invest in you guys, and it's hard. Like it's tough. Like Babolat back in the day, I remember, was not one of the powerhouses. It was always Wilson, it was Yonex, it was Head, right? And they were the game players, and Babbitt was starting to get there,
right.
but they made the right moves. They hired. I mean, they had Nadal as their poster child,
Yep.
and then he had a few Spaniards like was it Fertero was it
For
Fernando. Carlos, I think it was Carlos
Moya.
Moya, yeah, Moya was there. I mean, you had a couple great players there. Now with the roster, like remember, don't forget Songa in his prime.
Oh,
You had
that's true.
Songa.
That's true.
Then you have now Alcaraz. I
Right.
mean, you have a ton of great players. I mean, your roster is massive now, right?
Right.
You built the right brand, and it's coming along well. So I mean, that totally makes sense, right? So like Vogel just couldn't find that talent pool.
Well, that and they kind of Vocal's still living on the C10 Pros, and unless you're of a certain age, you don't know what that is. Even though they
Yeah.
still make C10s and C10 Pro Classics, it's like the new generation
Doesn't know about it.
don't want to play with it or can't play with it because they're trying to emulate Alcaraz. Alcaraz don't play with that,
Yeah.
right? Neither does Sinner, and they're not using rackets like that with that kind of a thinner beam player stick anymore. That was
Years
20,
ago,
30
yeah.
years
So
ago.
I would say they're stuck in the past. Then like Prince was like too stuck on the future.
Yep.
So they kind of that's what I think. I mean, Vocal is still a great brand. It's just it's not tailored to the current market right now, which
Right.
is they're always struggling with.
Right. Let me ask you something.
Yeah,
I
hit me.
was just at Kalamazoo, which you've played before.
Yeah.
Now, how I asked all the stringers that were with me in the room. Anybody seen or strung a pro staff?
No. Even my era of tennis,
Zero.
no one really played with the pro staff. I think
Zero.
it was such a hard racket to even start with. It was a great learning racket because you learn how to hit the sweet spot, but it's not a great playing racket unless it's your Federer. That's pretty much it. The only person that really played with the pro staff was Federer. I mean, now you have the Chinese girl that's playing with it, but like, let's be honest, that's a tailored racket to her, so it's not really a true pro staff that people play with, right?
And then I said, how many prestiges did anybody string?
No, none.
Zero.
Very few. I mean, I think a lot of this generation of kids love a racket that is versatile, easy to play with, can find the sweet spot, it's reliable. I think it's just such a niche market. Like even like you see like prestigious is not like the number one seller. The pro stuff used to be, now it's not the pro seller. Right? I mean, it's just a hard racket. Like, there's some diehard fans that love Federer, and they're like, yeah, we'll play with it. Yeah, you'll play with it, but you won't compete in it. Right? Let's be honest. You want to have the racket that's the most versatile when you're playing and competing. Right? So a lot of these kids now are looking to rackets that are a bigger head size, which is 98 to 100s. Not the oversized one because you lose stability. You're looking at like foam based rackets now because with all the pounding and ripping they hit, I mean, it's going to take a beating. And
looking at that 308 before
3-0,
anything else.
like you're usually even the kids now, like they can. I mean, the last person I've ever known used like a custom racket that's almost over like 380 pounds is
380 ounces.
80 ounces, sorry, not pounds, but ounces. I mean, you're looking at like Murray. Murray was at 400 grams,
Murray's
right?
crazy.
That's a pound. That's literally heavy as hell.
Right.
So I think this generation is like kind of Nadal spec. It's like you're looking around 330, 335. Some even go to the max, maybe 380. That's already heavy enough. But like the game is so fast, you can see all the young players like they're. If you look at the stature of like the younger players versus like kind of like Fed and that era of generation, it's the whole different breed. Like these kids are now, I mean, our sports science has elevated significantly with in that generation, and we're looking for the highest. I mean, genetically they're stronger. Like if
Stronger, faster,
strong, like quicker. Right, you never see Agassi slide like Ben Shelton or Novak or any of those guys. Right, it's a whole different kind of category now.
Yeah, no, it's a different era, guys. I feel like these kids are soft now versus back in the day.
I mean, I think it's just equipment too. Like even like we said, like the evolution of rackets changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it says,
what?
What's the revolve
Sorry.
spin?
Yeah, there's a revolve spin. Shoot.
We haven't played with that one.
I have.
How do you like it?
So, here's my one.
Give it to him real, Perry.
Like,
Give it to him real.
Okay, so when revolve spin first came out, my rep Adrian, gave me a set, and I strung it at like 52 pounds, and I threw it in the trunk of my car. And maybe that was the thing, but I threw it in the trunk of my car.